You're listening to Black Like Me with Dr. Alex G., a podcast that invites you to experience the world through the perspective of one black man, one conversation, one story, or even one rant at a time. Here's Dr. G.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Black Like Me with Dr. Alex G. I have been waiting for this episode. I'm sitting in the studio with some very distinguished gentlemen. These are guys that I've known for so many years, and we're having a reunion, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. But these are gentlemen who have helped me to understand the whole world of reentry, the issues around mass incarceration. And we were all in a men's group 8 years ago called Man Up. And so I'm sitting here today with Anthony and with Eugene and with Aaron and with Jerome. And we're going to have a good time in the studio today. How are you doing, gentlemen? Welcome.
We're doing well this morning.
Good. Now, some of y'all have been in here before, so you know we do something that's called Black Icebreakers.
Right.
And so we just want to start a little bit. Some of y'all, so I got to try to get some new flavors, some new questions. Does anyone here know what it means to run a Boston on somebody?
Come on, man.
Well, a lot of my white listeners don't know. So raise your hand if you know what it means to run a Boston.
Yeah, we definitely.
Okay, hold on just a minute. Eli, do you know what it means to run a Boston?
I don't.
Okay.
Not heard that.
It's not a marathon either.
I was gonna say that's
It's not the marathon. Who raised it? Okay. Where do you? What does it mean to run a Boston on somebody?
I mean, pretty much.
Close to the mic.
No.
A 10. I mean, as far as spades, we take all the books.
All the books in what?
Yeah.
And all the books in what? Because we so many people
spades.
No, not spades.
Yeah, spades.
Yeah, spades. No, that's not big. Oh, see, you slipping. You slipping.
So if you playing spades, you're gonna run a Boston because you have these books you try to win.
Right.
How many do you have to win? If you so the old men be sent the table and say, we finna run a Boston.
Yeah, we finna run a Boston, get rid of y'all.
Get rid of y'all.
But I think the confusion.
It's all books.
You take all 13.
It's all 13.
It's all 13 of them. If I run a 10 on you, that's one thing. When I run a Boston,
that's all.
Run a Boston? When I run a 10, it just hurts your feeling. When I run a Boston, I destroy you. Like you.
See, brother, you slipping.
No. See, y'all old timers trying to, trying to protect each other. But it's okay. It's
we
all
finna
right.
run a Boston on you right now.
Hey, I mean, it is like 4 of y'all, one of me.
Listen, man, that's right. So you might want to tread lightly. We might show you that old man strength. Man, I was preaching a couple Sundays ago about old man strength. Were any of y'all there? No. Tyler was. My white church member was there. I talked about old man strength. I said old black men could see that you got a flat. Mm-hmm. Look at their left hand. Just reach down in the hub and just start taking screws off because they just had that strength. They didn't even need wrenches and stuff. So anyway, don't mess with that old man strength.
Yeah, y'all by the door. Also.
I've asked these gentlemen this question already, Mr. Eugene. But are you a cream of wheat or a grits man?
Right now, neither. But I grew up with the cream of wheat.
You eat cream of wheat?
Yeah, I grew up eating cream of wheat.
Now, why didn't y'all eat grits? Is that because you light skinned?
I think so.
Okay. You must have had white neighbors or something. Was you in foster care?
No.
Okay, all right. That's okay. So cream of wheat. You know what? So did you put sugar on cream of wheat?
Oh, yep, sugar, butter.
Okay. I think okay.
No.
Okay, I got you. As long as you put, I don't care what it is, as long as you put butter and sugar.
Oh yeah.
I grew up with
it. Man. Have any of you ever snuck into the drive-in?
Oh, absolutely.
No, I've never been to a drive-in.
You've never been to a drive-in?
I've never been to a drive-in.
I've never been to a drive-in either.
No. Yeah, we used to do the trunk.
I know they had one in Chicago.
See, these new breeds, they don't know about that.
They don't know about that. They pay full price to go see a movie.
No. But you said a drive-in. That's a big difference. I snuck into a movie theater.
No, drive-in, you get in the trunk, though.
Yeah.
Or under the blanket in the back seat.
Yeah.
In the back seat, under the blanket. You get in the blanket, like, get on the floor.
On the floor in the back seat.
In the back seat? Oh, man.
That's
That is
definitely
really
a senior citizen.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. So speaking of senior citizen.
Aaron, I think you need to be over here, bro.
Yeah. So speaking of senior citizens, so I'm going to direct this to my seasoned brothers, to Jerome and to Eugene. Do you all remember the old Flip Wilson show? Because that was the first black person. Do you remember when he played the judge? Well, I was going. Okay, my first question was, do you remember the woman character he played? And you got it. It was Geraldine. How did Geraldine sound? Well, do you remember what that famous line was?
Yep.
What was it, Eugene?
The devil made me do it.
The devil made me do it. And she would also say, "Watch it, sucker." She would say, "Watch it, sucker." Or I forgot about the devil made me do it. And what about when he played the judge? Remember what he would say when he walked into the courtroom?
Everybody gonna do some time today.
Is that what he would say? You know, I was like, "Here come the judge. Here come the judge." They had to play the old Flip Wilson stuff. I mean, that was like our Saturday Night Live. That was before Carol Burnett. Well, I mean, Carol Burnett was going on with, but that was the first black variety show. I forgot the devil made me do it. Hey, this is for the younger people too. How long was the tour on Gilligans Island?
3 hours.
That's right. How you know?
Because it's in the song.
Can you sing?
Can y'all see the song? Just sit
Right back and I tell a tale of a faithful
Crew.
Yeah, something like that.
I like, black people. See, that's what black people do. They don't know the words. Just a da 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 da.
millionaire
And his wife. The movie
V-star,
the
the professor and Mary Ann. Okay.
Hey, okay, let me see. This might be one of my last questions. Who is your favorite Fat Albert character?
Oh,
Man.
I'm going last.
Okay. I know who you gonna say.
I actually have two. I can't think of the other guy's name. I can't think of the other guy's name. I got Fat Albert for one, but then also, what was the brother's name with the hat?
Yeah.
Donald. Weird Donald.
Weird Donald? Yeah,
No, wait.
Oh, Russell.
No. Weird Harold.
Weird Harold. Yeah, because no one
That's
really saw his face. It was always
That was like one. I didn't know what that was, but that was like, was that one of those ski masks?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Yeah,
Eli, did you watch Fat Albert?
A little bit, yeah.
I think that was the first cross cultural experience for a lot of folks because it was the first. Wasn't that the first black cartoon?
I believe it was.
Was it?
Yeah, think about it. Wasn't no Penny
it had to
Proud
be.
and stuff back then. I mean, Fat Albert was it.
Wow.
What was your favorite on there?
The guy with the hat, I can't remember his name.
That's Weird Harold.
Weird Harold, yeah.
What about yours?
Well, I didn't really have no favorites because wasn't no girls on there.
Okay, plow.
Right.
He's a young plow.
Play on, player.
That's right.
Right.
And
No, yours.
I like Fat Albert.
Okay.
I also like Russell.
Mine happened to be.
I'm gonna say with you. No, go ahead, say it.
So he used to always say, "Come over here," but he was actually the first black superhero, the Brown Hornet.
Oh,
He was on Fat Albert.
It was the cartoon they used to watch.
That's right.
It was the Brown
Yeah.
Hornet.
You liked him.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
all about that, yeah.
Wait, I'm surprised nobody said Mush Mouth.
Mush
Mush
Mouth.
Mouth.
I'm a baba tuba go
Yeah,
tuba
yeah.
do
I like Mush Mouth too.
You know, like what the heck did you just say? That boy can't talk. Eugene, you ever have a Jerry curl or a perm? You look like a straightening comb guy. Which one did you? Just in the microphone. Which one? Which one did you have?
Not a perm.
You had a perm, like with rollers and stuff.
Yeah.
I bet it was tight too. I mean, it was good. It was nice, didn't it? Was your hair kind of really like? Would you dye it a little bit?
No.
But you kind of got sandy hair, right?
Now they had styles for those perms. Like
I used to get the finger waves.
Yeah, finger waves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So tell me about the perm process because some folks don't understand it. So this was like a relaxer in a box, Eugene?
No. I used to. My aunt was a beautician, and I would go over her house, and she used to hook me up. And
Did it burn?
with the waves? Yeah.
Remember that scene in Malcolm X when he was sticking his head in the toilet?
yeah.
So real.
Because Jerome, so you had a perm too?
No, I was Jerry Carroll.
I was looking for that. Who was that?
Aaron, tell me about this perm. I'm looking here at a photo. I mean, y'all, wait. So who can finish this saying? This. I'm looking at a picture of one of my guests right here, and his hair is it's permed. We used to back in the day. We used to call it fried,
That wasn't a
dyed,
perm,
and laid to the side.
That wasn't a perm. That was straight hot comb.
That's how come?
That was straight.
So
Oh,
the back
yeah.
of my ears got scabs and all types of stuff on it.
Right, because I was gonna ask him if I'd have been burned by a straightening comb.
And they talking about hold your head still.
Right, you know you'll get burnt up. Hold your head still.
And they
you
mean
crying.
hold your head still.
They
I'm
meant
talking-
hold your head still because if you weren't, they call you tender
You
headed.
got that right.
Man, and I mean, and those straightening comb teeth are like right together. That's not like one of them Afro picks.
No.
Anybody used to carry one of them big rakes in their back pocket? That's before your time.
Yep.
Coop.
With the
Aaron, before your
fist.
time with the fist on it.
I got one.
But the rake, remember, like the big rake. It was white folks call it an angel
Oh, they
food
had
cake
one
cutter.
like- yeah.
They call it angel food cake cutter.
Oh.
You can cut food cake with it?
That's a food cake cutter.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Watch, China's
Yeah,
gonna pull up a
man.
picture of a food cake cutter. Did you know that, Eli? That food cake cutter? Like I went
didn't know
to a
that.
garage sale because my mom was a garage sale junkie, and I said, "What they doing with a pick?" And they said, "Oh, that's an angel food cake cutter."
Oh. Yeah, I've seen those before. This
So
one here.
if you all, those of you listening, just Google angel food cake cutter. That's what black people used to comb their hair with. Ain't that funny?
That's
We're
crazy.
innovative. I love
Right,
black
right,
people.
yeah.
We could go into somebody's house for cake and we're like, I got an idea.
I can use that.
I can use that.
Oh.
I can sell that. Oh my goodness. All right, so you all, we're gonna jump into our episode. I've got 3 incredible men here
Actually,
in the
not
studio.
4, but we're going to go with 3.
Okay, all right, I got you. Ooh, okay, yeah, let's just try to be nice.
Include yourself.
Okay, got you. Got you. But years ago we connected up because the brother right here to my left, Jerome Dillard, taught me years ago about the importance of reentry and how do you really welcome brothers and sisters back to the community who have been incarcerated. And he really taught me that it was a human rights issue. I called Jerome up while I was finishing up my dissertation back in 2009 and asked, because I was writing about the impact of fatherlessness in black men, and I asked him if he thought mass incarceration had any impact on fatherlessness. Well, that was back in 2009. Jerome and I are still having that conversation in 2018 about that impact, and just made me think about this real important issue and how I had really turned my heart away from mass incarceration issues because I didn't understand the inhumane treatment of folks, and we're never supporting that people should not see time when they've done horrendous crimes, but we're also just talking about how people come back to the community, and the majority of the crimes that are committed are not violent in nature. You know, a lot of it has to do with property damage and possession of drugs. People think if someone's been to prison, you know, they've raped someone, they've murdered someone. So we formed a group. Aaron alluded to this earlier. Jerome was already running a group was called VBB, and VBB stands for Jerome, Voices Beyond Bars.
Voices Beyond Bars. That's correct.
And your meeting was going on for years. It was men and women, and it was multicultural. We said, let's focus on something that really addresses the issue of black men with a strong faith component. Mm-hmm. So we decided to create this group called Man Up. We met on Tuesday nights at the local Urban League building, and we would talk about issues. And Aaron, that was 2010 because you were just coming home from prison.
That's correct.
And you joined our group while it was still pretty early. Do y'all remember those early days of Man
I
Up?
remember it real well.
I remember when we first started. You asked,
All the times you left there scared. You like, oh no, who are these people I'm with?
No, I came to the meeting scared. I left relaxed, but I came. Yeah, I did. I walked up in there and said, they're going to tell, I ain't even been to the principal's office. They just going to beat me up. I mean, because y'all were the kids I tried to stay away from when I was in school. Y'all the kids. My mama told me, don't play with them, don't talk with them, don't let them ride your bike, don't let them in my house when I ain't home. Don't let them in when I'm at home. No.
We will steal your milk money.
You'll steal your milk, definitely.
For real.
Definitely. And then sell it back to me. So, man, listen, I want people to hear, you all's voices and your stories. Let me just get this clear. Let's just, first of all, just tally up. And this is the only time I'll ask this question in this conversation. How many years of combined incarceration do you think we have right here?
I would say rough guesstimate, 50.
I was thinking probably 35.
No, it's more than 35.
Had to be more.
Wait a minute. Combined?
Yeah,
Combined.
12.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the second time. So altogether, it'll be about 14 for me.
14, 12, gotcha. 14.
17 on this bit. Wow.
On this bit.
Two for me.
And you all are all off paper. That means you're not on extended supervision.
That's correct.
Yeah.
First of all, let me just say you all, congratulations. That's incredible. And listen, just how you live your lives. You all aren't in here so we can say, hey, yeah, you're not doing crime anymore. But this issue of mass incarceration is also an indictment on society and how we're not creating enough opportunities for folks. I mean, there's enough blame to go all around, but we're here to talk about the exciting things that you men are doing, but that the fact that 8 years ago we established this bond. And how many years do you think we met? Was it 2, 3?
More than 2.
Yeah, I think it was close to 3.
Yeah, I think it was 3 years.
Yeah, I think it was 3 years.
It was about
2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Definitely. And so we got together, we met, and to create a support group. And you all just jump on in here too, because what happened is most of the folks who you all talked to, either while going into prison or in your process of coming out, were mainly white women. I mean, there was some. There were like Aaron, your agent is a white male, but it used to be a woman. I mean, you had someone who was a woman. Coop, I think did you have a guy? Oh,
one was a guy, but the first one when I first came home was a guy, and then the other 2 were women.
Okay.
I had 3 white women.
3 white women. And so I said we got to have some place where black men can talk to black men. And where do black men get to talk to black men who've also been incarcerated? And so we would come and have some discussions, and people were really raw. They were very, very transparent, and I appreciate the fact that y'all let me in. And so I'm an outsider. I'm finishing up grad school. Why did y'all let me sit in those meetings with you?
Because you used to bring the Popeye's chicken.
Eugene, I forgot
that's
you
real
was funny,
talk.
man. I forgot that. You sure did.
No, that's real talk, though, ain't it?
That's it. I used to bring I forgot I used to bring the Popeye's chicken. Okay, so besides I feel totally used right now. That takes me back to 4th grade. I can play with you guys if you can have my lunch.
For me, I think it was the fact that you were a pastor and you were trying to look outside the box. Because I think for many of us who are incarcerated, for ones who are in, but once they come out, the fact that we kind of sometimes are in the sewers, and we try not to let everyone know our business. We try not to have those real in-depth types of conversations. Like I can even talk to as far as like with me and Aaron. Aaron didn't know that I was incarcerated. Jerome sent him to me when I was working at a recruitment firm, and so but he didn't know anything really about me. He just said, "Hey, you need to talk to Coop." Other than that was it. And so when he saw me at Man Up, it was like, "Oh, wait a minute. Like, what are you doing here?" You know,
so you all met before. You and Aaron met before that.
We met, but I never.
He didn't know anything
I didn't know
about
he was
me.
Incarcerated at all. I never even had a clue of that.
Yeah, only thing he just knew I was just some dude who
he was
worked
a
recruiter,
and he would help me get a job.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to say that the concept that you came up with for black men only, and most of us, it was our faith walk that really put us on a straight and narrow.
Sure. And that's a good thing to bring up to remind us of.
And some of the experiences being certified as life coaches was a milestone.
I forgot about that. Talk about that for a minute.
So many of us, we met with a life coach.
I had this idea to have these gentlemen. No, I want you to tell the story to have them certified as life coaches because you all know this work. We have all these folks with MSSWs trying to help folks, but they've never been in trouble. They've never been discriminated against. They've never been promised things. Some of you have gone to prison because of struggles with drugs and depression and never got any treatment inside prisons, although it costs $30,000, $40,000 for you to do this. It costs tax dollars $30,000 or so for you to go to prison and didn't even get that kind of treatment. So I hired a life coach.
Yep.
And how many of you gentlemen went to that?
All of us. It was.
They're all certified as life coaches.
I think 9 or 10 of us.
We got to do a story on that. We got to do a. We got so you all are life
I only
coaches.
missed the last session because of work. I couldn't get out.
It was about 10 of us. It was about 10 of us.
Carl.
Yep.
Yes.
Carl was our life
Carl
coach.
Smith.
But I want to put a twist on that because today they're calling it peer support specialists.
We started that.
And that's something that we had been doing for years.
Yeah.
Prior to this state certification.
Now they get money for certifying folks to do what y'all been doing.
Big
Right,
money.
exactly.
But also that concept worked. The fact is that we can come together, be transparent, and empty out so much garbage that we've held inside so long because we had never talked about it. And it gave us a forum as black men to talk about the struggles we had growing up, the traumas in our lives,
right?
And we cried together.
We sure did.
We cried and hugged and really lift each other up. And that's a concept that works, and I believe that out of the 10 of us, all of us are all paper.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
You know, you look at Wayne, Sean. Who else was in there?
Vaughn.
Sean.
Willie Love. All of us are all paper now. Everyone that was in our Man Up, in that starting form, our Man Up group.
We need to do a story on this. Are we doing
paper now?
And to take it even a step further, you are founding Reentry Director at Nehemiah. Mm-hmm. Coop and Aaron currently work as the director and assistant director of Reentry. Eugene has done some chaplaincy work, but I mean, he of course works outside, but is doing great work outside. But you all have made it your either your ministry or your career or your passion to give back to others who've been incarcerated. Eugene, I was told he'd never be able to go into the prison because of his charges and stuff. And I won't say where because we don't need to tell everything. But the fact that you've been able to, weren't you able? We won't say where, but weren't you, Eugene, able to go back into the place you had been incarcerated?
He's going in now.
Absolutely, still going there.
You going what?
Yeah,
institutions, 4 institutions.
I'm into 5 institutions right now.
See, that's
it. Just God is using me phenomenally. It just
and we see it.
I love going in there and. Just to think that,
and coming out the same day,
oh, absolutely. But just to think that I hated being in there, and I had no clue that I would be going back up in there. That was the last thing that was on my heart or mind was to go back in there, and just wow, what God done did.
Man, that's
huge.
That's huge, man.
I want to say when I still go in to do some programming, but Eugene is a buzzword in Green Bay, Fox Lake, New Lisbon are some of the prisons that.
Are those some of the largest prisons in Wisconsin?
Well, they're different security levels, and I don't know if you're going Columbia, which is a maximum. And everybody asks me, "Do you know Brother Smalls? You know Brother Smalls?"
Everybody knows him.
And it's just a testament of the impact that he's having going inside and working with individuals who he generally have genuine love for, and they feel that. And I want to say that if we really want to look for solutions to changing lives,
come on, bring it.
They need to bring individuals who have that lived experience, who have turned their lives around, to come in and breathe on and work with those men.
Can I challenge you for just a minute on that? Mm-hmm. They need to pay gentlemen to come in to do that.
Can I take it a step further?
Yeah.
Not only should they pay, not only should they invest in that, but they not even realizing we are a walking, living curriculum. We are the curriculum.
Exactly.
And that's what it needs to be based off of. It needs to be based off the things that we are doing. This is what needs to be studied.
Practice-based evidence is what we call it at Nehemiah.
That's right. And that's what they need to see, that we are the curriculum. It's so common that we go out and we get other people's curriculum, but
who've never been incarcerated.
That's right.
They just know how to write curriculum.
There you have it. And so this is the curriculum, and this is the most effective way to changing lives. When you see other people who walked a mile in your shoes, when you see other people who come from the same thing you come from, nevertheless, they figured out ways to come up out of it. Those are the people that you want to utilize as means of curriculum so that you can be effective in changing people's lives.
Amen, brother.
Very
yes.
true. And one of the things is that, just to kind of add on to that, Pastor G, is the fact that we're not only are we the curriculum, but then also when they're having these discussions, they have to make sure that we are involved in it. Just like even with the state certification that they have, the people that who pretty much put that test together does not have anything to do with department. With the work that we do. Right. We're not a part of that.
And they probably don't even know you.
Right. Don't know us. Don't
That's
process.
A shame. That's a waste of money.
Any of that stuff with us. It's just pretty much to say, hey, you know what? Because I have a PhD in whatever, I can go ahead and write this. I'm gonna force people to do it, but yet most of it doesn't even make sense. It's not even connected to the work that was happening in the community.
What department is that? Who does that?
The University of Milwaukee. University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee.
Shame on y'all.
Are the owners of the curriculum. They put that together without any input from the lived experience. Individuals who actually walked in this, who have overcome AODA issues, mental health issues. But now we're really working with SAMHSA right now today to bring a more core support, peer support model together that includes incarceration.
Right.
The state certification is only for AODA and mental illness. Which that dual diagnosis is really prominent within the communities of impacted people who have been to prison. And
now I'm going to talk over some people's head right now. You young people may not understand this, but Jerome, you and Eugene are going to get this. Let's not let people take what we know work and just make a bundle off of it. Let's go out and pull that program.
Well,
I just that was cold.
You know, the fact is, those connections. SAMHSA, we can't walk up to SAMHSA's door and say, "Hey, this is what we know. This is what we do."
Right.
We have to some way find a way in because
we'll find
gatekeepers are many in
believe me.
Right, but the thing is, even
we're gonna do that.
The gatekeepers, those are the same people who've been doing this for so long.
Absolutely.
And so until I guess either we get some other entity or some other type of backing to be able to push that. It's possible though.
We got it. In fact, I'm gonna take it off this subject so that nobody gets our ideas. We're
Okay,
good.
yeah.
No, I got you. No.
Go to the next.
No, I'm just saying this is what we're gonna put on. Yeah, this is where I don't want you all to lose the edge of what made you successful. Many of y'all went to prison because you were set up or let your guards down, but none of you went to prison because you were dumb.
Right.
Because you made a living doing what you were doing. Keep that sharpness because we can do something with this, and we can. Please say something else. I'm not gonna let anybody listening get all our good ideas.
So I wanted to change the dynamics because I just wanted to speak to the fact when I came home from prison. Initially, my first interaction was with Jerome Dillard, and he who introduced me to you as well.
I remember that.
But as time went on, Jerome helped me get my first apartment, and this is all the model itself.
Right.
But it helped me get my first apartment, and then Coop came aboard, and he started talking to me. I never bought my own bed before. My first bed was actually given to me, and it was just based on the fact that I had been incarcerated. Part of being incarcerated, your bed is like you lay on steel, and you're so accustomed to that. I mean, you just I never thought about I should get another bed. Something that's interesting, it's 2017 or it's 2018 now. I just turned 45. Something I realized, I've never went grocery shopping for myself ever in my life. Somebody's always told me what to do. So even if I go grocery shopping, I would get on the phone, what you want me to get? It's never me making a sound decision. And I started realizing, like, I don't think people really understand the fullness of what incarceration actually has done to men and women who's in those places. Like, you don't really, it's only so much that you get a glimpse of, but it's so many things is my first. For everybody else, they've been doing it, not even realize. I have a iPhone X. I mean, I laugh. It's funny, but the truth is, I mean, I've never even. It's so many features on here that I have a clue. I don't even have a clue.
There's a grocery feature on there.
Right.
It probably is.
How old were you when you went into the system?
So when I went into the system,
because part of this is foster care.
That's right.
Judge Everett Mitchell was on and talked about that social welfare is really the pipeline
absolutely
to criminal justice and not just education. So, like when you first got in trouble, or when you came out of your mother's home,
right?
How old were you?
I was 12.
And you're 45.
I'm 45.
It just got off paper a year ago.
That's right.
Last December, we videoed the fact that you just voted for the very first time
in my life
this year.
ever.
Okay. So you're right. These are things people got to think about. That most folks are coming back home, and if folks are treated inhumanely, that that sets the stage for how you come back into the community. I didn't mean to cut you off. Please go ahead.
No. When he was speaking about him first getting his bed, I could remember seeing Aaron's bed up against the wall.
Yeah. Like he was still in the joint. Like,
and I was like,
that's
why is your
interesting.
bed? He had no. I mean, this is.
He's
conditioned that way.
Yeah.
And the bed was up against the wall, and there's windows, and he could put it right in the middle of the floor.
That's real. That's real. Aaron's like, that's what I thought you're supposed to do.
But also something that we kind of talk about, and hopefully this doesn't sound crazy or
nothing's crazy in
right?
here.
So I remember me and Aaron, we were talking about kind of not really too much about grocery shopping, but it was like he had a roommate at the time and left food that was in the refrigerator, and he would just basically just let it spoil. He's like, just like if you're in the joint, you don't touch my stuff, I don't touch your stuff. And I'm like, bro, you don't just if it's spoiled, you throw that stuff away. You don't do that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I said the thing is for your own health,
I never thought of that.
Right? You know what I mean? And so it's some of the things that I think that where sometimes can become very simplified, but then at the same time, but if you don't know, you don't know. Mm-hmm. But and then I think by having those types of conversations that not only built a different type of brotherhood, but then also pushing him, and I believe this comes from all three of us, but also me and JD probably spend the most time probably with Aaron, that we would say, hey man, pushing him to think outside the box. To think about what he may at one point saw as being normal, that's not normal. You know what I mean? And just challenge it, like, what about this is normal? Now think about if he would have did it this way, right, and let him make his own decision in that process. And so, but that's what I mean. Not only is that's what brotherhood is, but that's what peer support is. That's what that's what community is.
That's
and
right.
You know, so it's all of that wrapped into one. But go ahead, Aaron.
So I think we never get into the mental. We never get into the mental of what happens to men and women incarcerated, and so because I have learned one of my skill sets, I've learned to just walk and move like everybody else, even though I know I'm very different. I think different. How I view things is different. There's parts that have just been stripped away. But I understand in order for me to look normal, I have to do it like everybody else do it. So I have learned to do those things. But the truth is, I still have these struggles. Incarceration has done things to me that I never could even imagine. And so I share that because these are the conversations that really need to be taking place to men and women. When you're around steel, coal, concrete, every single day in, day out, nobody even asks one simple question. What are we producing? What's actually happening and then you putting these individuals back into the community.
They know because they know the answer. They know the answer. So you all, this is why we formed our group, Man Up. Right. I connected with these brothers collectively 8 years ago, and we started meeting and we started talking because Jerome taught me years ago. Jerome, when you first came to the church, what year was that? How many years? 20 years ago? Yeah, right before my daughter was born. It's about 22 years ago. You said something that I'd never heard before. You said it's important for me to experience being normalized. I want to be around men who are getting up every day going to work. I want to be around men who are taking their kids to school. I want to see that kind of work. And so the idea of our group was that we could talk about those very real issues. So I want to move us to talk about the group for just a minute. We'll come back to some of the other things because it's sort of a reunion. I want to come back to the kinds of things that the group helped you with personally.
Okay. I think one of the most powerful sessions we had was when we had the teddy bear and the skull.
I still got that skull in my drawer. It's not it's a toy skull. Talk a little bit about that. Y'all remember? Let's talk about the skull and the teddy bear.
Well, it was a symbol of the young men who were put into war as kids in Africa.
Right.
And
that's part of my dissertation too. I was writing about that and I brought it to you all.
And finding a skull under their bed and a teddy bear in the bed.
When these boy soldiers, you're right. Stay at the mic, Jerome. The boy soldiers were found to be deprogrammed. They found human skulls and teddy bears. So we talked about the plight of black men. Some days we just want to be a little kid with a teddy bear, and other days we chopping off limbs and capturing skulls. So tell me why that touched you, because we realized that's in all of us.
Yes.
A warrior and a kid, and to be black and male in America is to try to wrestle with that, because when you wake up, you don't know if you're the warrior that day or...
That was the message. The warrior and the kid.
Yes.
And we walked through that, and we did that for several weeks.
We did that for like you're right.
And I just saw the camaraderie come together.
Yeah, there was a connection around that.
Yeah.
Because the question was to the group is, what does it look like for you to be the kid with the teddy bear? And we talked about the fear and stuff. And what does it mean to be the warrior? Like, when have you been thrust into to violence? You know, like some of you all, you know, have been attacked. We talked about folks who have been stabbed, folks who have done stabbed. I mean, we talked about a whole lot of stuff that couldn't leave that room. But the thing that's powerful for me is that you all created space so that I could talk about the impact of incarceration had on my family, because my father had been in and out of prison. And what we found is that a lot of us had the same issues I was wrestling with, not having my father in my life. So although I'd never been incarcerated, you all let me talk about that impact of that pain. What we realized is I took one road with my pain. Some of you took other roads. But I feel like you all gave me space to really talk seriously about that, in space that I don't sit down with my fellow pastors or business leaders or congregation and say, hey, you know, I kind of got some of these father issues. I do it like, you know, we would talk about it at some of our prayer gatherings. But we found out that a lot of us had those issues. Do you remember that aha? We realized, wait a minute, that's what, to me, that's when I stopped facilitating the group and I became a part of the group.
But there was the healing. From those sessions was second to none. I mean,
wow.
Really, it was life changing.
Man, Aaron, I know you want to talk about this. Remember that time I had the dream?
Oh,
that I was going to be incarcerated. I had a dream. I came back. I told the group, I said, y'all, I had a dream that man, I got framed and I was going to prison. I was like, okay, I got to go talk to the guy. I got to go talk to the man of group. Like, how do I prepare myself mentally to go to the joint? And I came and told you all that. And y'all thought that was something. You thought that was a sign.
That was huge. That was huge that you got a chance to, even if it was in a dream, you got a chance to get Pat search.
to process it.
Right, you had to go through all the process. So we definitely let him in on the basis of that dream.
Yeah.
Man, do y'all remember when we went to the transfer point? We got man up shirts because there was, remember, a lot of violence was taking place
a lot of kids
at the transfer. Kids were fighting and stuff like that. And we put on our man up shirt. We still, hey, Eli, we got to post that picture, because we got a picture of all of it. We're all in it in our man up t-shirts. We got to put that out. You know, we'll use the one that we took today in the studio, but we'll do that one as well. But what do y'all remember about? I mean, again, here are men who got into trouble in Madison, were part of things that weren't positive, and now you all, not the mayor, it wasn't the chief of police, it wasn't some organized group, it was you brothers bringing safety and protection to the corner of Badger and Park Street. That was amazing to me. What amazes me about you men is not that you're off paper, because that's what you're supposed to do. You're family men. You've increased your education. You know, Aaron, you've been on the honor roll. And I remember celebrating that. Eugene, you did a program called Odyssey. I mean, here's a brother who spent, well, you said 17 years on this stint. This brother's reading the classics and writing papers on, you know, the Iliad and talking about Homer and stuff. And so wow, again, you brothers are sharp. But the fact that you're each giving back to the community is what I think is phenomenal, because a lot of people run from their pain. And our communities are in an uproar because the people who are not afraid to go into them and bring order are not found, trained, and paid to do it. And so, you know, you all show up and stuff sometimes before the police officers do. We won't even talk about, you know, what you're doing with Focus Interruption Coalition. We might get to that. We'll do that on another show. I want to have y'all back. But just the fact that you men are giving back to the community is phenomenal. For me, as a person who studied leadership, transformational leadership, written about it, I have a doctorate in that area. The key element of that, the hallmark of true leadership, is when you're able to give back to your community. And each of you has found a fantastic way of doing that. And that's amazing.
Well, it's a two-way street. First of all, we felt we owed this to our community.
Right. Exactly.
Wow. And second of all, it gave us purpose. And having that purpose, put it
Yes.
in a
That's important,
put it
Jerome.
in a place that there were certain things we would no longer do.
Right.
We would not do this because we found purpose in being part of the community and part of the solutions in our communities.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I look around at you all. You are like some of the foremost authorities in this community on reentry, on preventing retaliation. You know, I can remember a time talking to Jerome. I mean, I met this man when he was on an ankle bracelet. You know, he did 3 stints in prison, 1 in the federal pen. But, you know, I remember during the last election, Jerome was like, yeah, man, I'm heading to Iowa. I'm going to be meeting with, you know, Bernie and Hillary. And I was thinking, wait, Bernie, Hillary. I'm sure he means like their people. But like he's sitting in rooms with senators and sitting in rooms with these government, with these presidential candidates. And I remember when this man lost his job because he didn't check that he had been incarcerated on a box. Or Coop, you know, I was in Africa. I mean, no, where I was in Africa one time. I was in China. And Jack and I were over there, you know, visiting some friends. I just happened to check Madison.com. I see you and Aaron on the front page of the newspaper flanking the mayor. I'm like, I'm in China. I'm looking at men who I met when they were in the lifestyle. Aaron was on an ankle bracelet. You know, I didn't know what you was doing, Coop, but you weren't right. I said to my spirit, you weren't right. I'm in China looking at men who are on my staff. I mean, you all are changing the game because black people saw your value and didn't look at your record. You know, I bet if I asked you all like what your number was when you were incarcerated, I'm not going to ask you because I don't want you to say that or even have to think about it. But the fact that that's been so ingrained in you that when we did talk about the fatherhood issues, and Eugene, it might have been you. I can't remember who asked it, but this was probably one of the most poignant questions that came up in our Man Up time because we talked about our absent fathers and strong moms. And we weren't bashing our mothers, but who were afraid we're going to get in trouble. Mothers and grandmothers who were like heavy-handed with us because they didn't want us to get in trouble. So we had this absence of a father and then these women who scared the you-know-what out of us. And I remember one of the brothers saying, wow, Pastor G, do you think that maybe that's why for many of us, our first crimes were perpetrated against women? And it just got quiet because no one had kind of figured out what role does an absentee father and a frightened mother who's trying to keep us out of trouble, sometimes by being really physical with us, has to do with those first crimes. And I said, has anyone talked to you all about fatherlessness when you're in prison? To a man, y'all said no. And I thought, well, then what the hell did they talk to y'all about in prison? Because here's the basic maladjustment. It came out in a group that's free. It didn't cost any money. And they paying like $120,000 a year for each of y'all for all the years. I mean, you know how many millions of dollars that is? And then the state hasn't even figured out a way to give money back to nonprofits like Nehemiah that's working to keep people out of prison. You know, we haven't even figured out a way to compensate the organizations that's doing the work. But the fact that we were able to pinpoint what caused many of our pain, I took one road because I had different structures. So I was going to be the perfect mama's boy. I was going to be a student council president, captain of my track team, et cetera, et cetera. But the pain wasn't any different. It's just that the options presented differently, and we went down those trails. But the pain was almost identical in us, and it was connected with our fatherlessness.
But gee, also I think it kind of, if we take a step back a little bit, when I start to think about the skull and the teddy bear. I mean, for many of us, we get so caught up in just being the warrior. There's not a chance. There's no nurturing. Right. There's no nurturing of trying to sit down and try to relax and be a kid. Or be a kid or be able to pull together a teddy bear that made sense to them. Right. To be able to have a different type of balance. All my life, me and Aaron have probably talked about this more than other people, that where I'm one of those people that where I've been backed in a corner. Sometimes I'm okay with being in a corner because I know how to fight. Right. And so I'm okay with fighting my way through, knowing that everything's gonna be okay. And sometimes it was a time in my life that where I didn't feel unless we had a fight, I always felt like things weren't going to be okay.
Wow, so you just fought just for GP, just to make sure stuff was.
Yeah, that was a part of. I mean, that was just.
That was your introduction.
That was my way of being able to say, "Look, I'm not going to allow anything to
right.
basically."
So let's just get this out the way.
Yes, sir.
Put them up. Put them up.
Yeah, but a fight is not always with
sure.
Just,
no, exactly. That's y'all dropping some serious wisdom.
You know, fatherlessness or issues impacted most of us in the manner.
Right.
Impacted, but combined with the traumas that many of us
Right.
On
top of that,
the ACEs that we experience, I think that you were protected, and you got out of a community at a good age.
Right. My mom got me out of there at 6.
Witnessing homicides.
Like you saw friends shot and stuff. It's
I mean, traumas were everyday thing in our community, in the home and outside the home. That trajected us in another direction.
Yeah. That's a good point.
So
that's a good point, Jerome.
To just build off of what you just stated.
And no one talks to black men about their trauma. We're only seen as people who perpetrate trauma, but we're never seen as folks who do that. And none of the treatment that you all have gotten or that black men tend to get is which is nurturing, which is
Figure
being
it out.
nurtured.
Figure
it out.
You have to basically.
You're a little
figure it
man.
out.
You're a little man. Figure it out.
Exactly, but that's where a lot of men get stuck at just being the warrior.
That's right, because you don't get the opportunity to be a kid. Because, I mean, your mom has already, or at least in my house, so I was already established from a very young age. I'm the man of the house. So because
I want to talk about that at some point. That happens to a whole lot of us.
But to build off of something that Jerome said, it's twofold. So coming from Milwaukee, I remember just like going to the store. Dude beat up real bad. He laying on the ground, walking right over him. Let me go in the store, get what my mama told me to get, walk back over him, go back to the house. But those are really real traumas because that's not normal.
No.
That's not normal, but it was normal for me until I came up out of it and realized, hold on, people ain't even living like this. That's not. But that same principle applies when the individuals are incarcerated. Because they're incarcerated so long, when they come back into the community, they're moving in the capacity of as if they're incarcerated because that's the norm they're coming from. That's what they're coming from. They're being told what to do. You don't buy groceries for yourself. Your towels, your underwear, all of that stuff is handed down to you. When you're in the county jail, they come with a roll. Once out of the week or twice out of the week, they bring you your clothes. They bring you underwear and towels. So these are all the things that goes on into your life for a long period of time. And now when you get back out in the community, you don't know what to do. I'm used to going to canteen where I can get me some noodles, some Roman noodles, meat, some cheese. I go to the grocery store now. People, you don't even need a human being. You can just beep your stuff and, go straight on through the thing. But those are the things that I'm talking about. Individuals coming home from incarceration are really feeling the impact of like, man, when you're not used to making decisions and now you're saying make decisions.
It's kind of like that scene when Red came home in Shawshank Redemption.
Exactly.
And it was like, boss, permission to make water. It's like, you don't have to ask me. Can you go to the bathroom?
That's right.
Yeah.
Or just the world has changed. I mean,
right.
how much the world has changed. Wow.
I can remember walking into a halfway house when I first started doing this work around 2005, I believe it was. And a brother was just sitting there looking at a blank screen on the TV. And I said, what's going on, man? Why don't you just turn it on? And he looked at me sadly and said, I don't know how.
Wow.
I don't know how. So take the remote, walk him through it. This is how you do this.
Sure.
And it was an aha moment for me because I know that technology is taking off, but yet still when you're not exposed to it, you come out here completely lost. Like today, all job applications pretty much
they're online.
Online, yep.
Someone who's never had to type on a keyboard or work on a computer screen, lost. I can't do it. F this job.
Wow.
I remember when I first got out, I'm talking about, I never had a bank account before, didn't have a credit card, I mean, a cell phone. It was just like I didn't even
know. Drive.
No, I couldn't even
never
drive.
drove a car.
I had never drove a car before.
Because you had a driver.
Yeah. Yeah, it was called CTA. I mean, just growing up in Chicago, public transportation is everywhere.
Right.
I mean, you don't
It's
need
convenient,
no car,
right?
And it was so many things. Like even a cell phone, didn't even know how to use a cell phone. And a computer. That was like, man, what is this? I mean, because you don't have those things in prison. And so.
Wow.
Man, it was it was crazy getting out and not really knowing how to do nothing, and I mean, growing up hustling, never really had a job, and so didn't even know how to work, but
look at the stuff you're doing now. So Eugene, tell me this. You enrolled in Odyssey, which is a local program that I love that allows folks who have not enrolled in college to get up to, I believe, to get 6 credits.
Yes.
Do you remember what one of your favorite books you read in Odyssey was, or one of your favorites? And I know it's been some years, but I want to hear you talk about that.
I had to say one of them was Letters from Birmingham. It was about Martin Luther King and how
Letters from a Birmingham jail.
Yes. And so he had got all these different letters from these white churches,
right.
And they were just bashing him and telling him he bogus and and he did none of them was words of encouragement,
None.
And I mean he was out here trying to do a great thing for a disadvantaged people, and it was just crazy how he was a man of God, and you had all these other men of God, but they were a different color, and they couldn't feel his pain, and they wrote him all these letters just bashing him, and
they sure
and
did.
I was like, wow, that kind of, because I didn't, I mean, I ain't really do no reading, I mean.
And you read lots of books in that program. I mean, didn't you have to read several books?
Well, yeah, lots of books.
You had to write papers?
But I started reading in prison,
Okay.
I mean, when, I didn't, after 8th grade, I stopped going to school, left home at 14. And, so, my life didn't involve reading. I was out there hustling,
right.
And trying to have a life, and it's crazy growing up out there in the world, leaving home at a young age and
8th grade,
man.
And then you getting 6 credits and you reading books and writing papers and sitting around other scholars being taught by some of Wisconsin's best and sharpest faculty who are fawning over you. They were impressed with you. I mean, you're probably thinking that they're coming to teach, but they were impressed with your mind.
Well, it was a beautiful thing, going back to school and, getting college credits.
Yeah.
And, I enjoyed it.
I could tell when I would talk to you, you would tell me about what you were reading and what you were doing and what you were learning, and you lit up in a way that I had never seen you light up before because you saw yourself in a new way.
I read books like Socrates, and I was like, man, this dude was a trip.
I like that. I don't know if anybody ever called Socrates a trip, but you're right. Man, this is so you all. I've heard some important things. One, we were learning how to do peer support by having you all certified as life coaches. Make sure that you mention that, because what was the title? We called it Reentry Life Coach. Was that the title? It was Reentry Life Coach, and you all were given. Got a certificate, and we met and had space. And man, we have to do another segment and have Wayne come back. I remember Wayne out for whatever reason. Those groups, Wayne scared me. He was talking fast. He was peddling his own books. He was cussing all up in them, and he was just militant. I was like, I think he's packing. So I'm gonna go down up in this meeting.
Alumni dinner last Saturday.
Yeah, sure did.
Yeah.
Oh, did he really?
Several of the men up alumni came.
Oh, really? Oh, man, that's really good. So listen, you all, from time to time, I'd like to reconvene this group because that connection we made back in 2010 was key. I'd like to have elected officials, folks come in and be a guest and have a discussion with you all. I just want to facilitate it, but I want that just to be on the record because I think, and I just want to say also, it's somewhat of a shameless plug, but the work of Nehemiah and its most recent initiative, Justified Anger, is really based upon some practice-based evidence. We watch what happened in the lives of these men and begin to make that a part of the plan and part of the program. But we're trying to de-silo Madison. So we're trying to bring people together who work in the areas of mass incarceration or having a more just criminal system or having a fairer criminal justice system. But Jerome, you and I chair that meeting, and we have the state public defender on it, we have the DA on it, we have the sheriff, and they come. It's not like they send their representatives. We've had representatives from the Department of Corrections, from Madison Police Department, nonprofits. We have a federal prosecutor, former federal prosecutor. This guy actually sentenced you when you went to the federal pen, and you're chairing a committee that he is a mere member on.
Well, I invited him there.
You invited him? Get close to the mic so I can hear.
I invited him there. I invited him to be a part of Justified Anger, and he was like, whatever you need.
So this is a federal prosecutor, you all. He put you away.
Yep.
But he's sitting under your leadership. I'm thinking about this. And I'm thinking about how you've invited a judge. I won't say his name, but you've invited a judge because you asked the judge, how many black people do you see in your court? And they gave you the number. It's a lot. How many do you convict? A lot. Do you have any black friends? So now you and this judge is kicking it. So now the judge is on this committee. You brought them to it. So we're all on the committee. Coop is on the committee as well. Coop is talking to folks who are philanthropic, who want to think about things that they can do to make life better for men and women coming back to the community. So, Jerome, you talked me into buying a house so that we could have a place for men coming out of prison. Coop, developed a holy hustle so that it could generate money. And you all are changing the game, but you're the very folks who people want to objectify, alienate because of who you used to be 20 years ago, and there's no sphere of safety that's happening in the Madison area that you men do not touch. And then Eugene is going back into prisons, talking to men who are either lifers who could help mentor other men, or talking to people who are about being released. And Jerome, you and I and Coop, we went also to one of the prisons where we worked on mentoring men doing life who could mentor men who are going to be coming out in the next year so that we're readying people to be released. And so you are inside prisons, outside prisons, lobbying, looking at rules, helping to designate dollars for safety. Madison is a stronger and a healthier place because you men are central and not because you've been marginalized.
Thank you for that, Alex, because it's a fact that this work cannot be done without those who have been impacted or those who are formerly incarcerated.
Right.
For the years that I've been doing this work and watching the statistics, nothing's changed. We still have 650,000 people being released every year. This has been going on for 650,000
coming out of prisons across the country. They're coming out, and nothing's changed. They're still,
but we still have that recidivism rate. That's
the rate at which people go back to prison.
Right, exactly.
Sending people back to prison. So we're 650,000
for rule violations and
not
necessarily for new crimes.
Well, that's the state of Wisconsin, and that's something we're going to take on. I feel in my heart that that's going to change. It has to.
Got it. Okay.
And hopefully the governor will retain his power.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. That's the whole.
This is an ugly thing going on in our state. right now. And this is not the only state, though.
It's just some crazy. But you're saying the folks who are impacted by that means if we're dealing with poverty issues, those folks got to be at the table. If we're talking about racial issues, I've been saying with my work in justified anger, that people can that we got to set the table, not just be at it. We got to set the table.
Right.
So you're saying
immigration, it should be those who have immigrated, those who are immigrants.
Get the affected folks at the table.
Right. You have to.
And
you have to.
I think another part to it is what I challenge us and your viewers as well to participate in. We need to start to show success. People need to see success.
You all are success.
That's right. But we need to highlight it. We highlight errors. We highlight when people make bad choices.
Right. That makes news. That sells.
Right. Yeah.
That sells news.
We haven't strategically came up with ways in which we can honor individuals who have made it off probation and parole, and that those individuals are in the community. They are, taking care of their family. They're protective. Right. They're doing all of these things. And I think we have to create a platform so that people not only hear us through this podcast, but also throughout our state where they can see on a very broad scale. We have people in everywhere from Milwaukee to Racine to up north who have came home, who are doing some excellent work in our communities. Right. And I think that needs to be highlighted. In order for people to buy into it, they have to be able to also see success. So I think that's something that we really need to push.
Yeah. And this, I'm sorry, but yeah, and it's so important for people to know that it's possible. I mean, and not only is that uplifting the people who are coming out, because a lot of times when you're in, you just feel as though like nothing's going to happen positive in your life. Your life's basically just go ahead and go back to the same old routine. But when you know it's possible, not just with just a few, but there's many of us.
We just don't talk about it.
We don't talk about it. And then again, a lot of times, right. A lot of times we have to actually kind of dig ourselves and go into the sewer, and with the hopes of eventually coming out and saying, you know what, I made it through. Because you got to fight against your agent, you got to fight against what's going on out in the community, and so on and so forth. So there is a way. Yeah.
We got to tell these stories.
Exactly.
I was thinking, Coop. Oh, you're gonna say something?
No. I just when Aaron was speaking, I just reminisced on the VBB Celebration of Success banquet that we had at Monona Terrace.
You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
It was 200 people there.
It was 250, but such a joyful celebration, and we had people from prison there.
People from prison was
there.
There were wardens there.
Well, the Secretary of the Department was our keynote.
That's right.
And Brother Eugene was one of our awardees. But the fact is, those type of celebrations we don't have enough of.
Right.
Where we can bring community, judges, DAs, formerly incarcerated people, system employees, all into one space, sitting at tables together,
having a meal together.
And that's I feel that's something that we need to do more of.
I agree. That was historic.
To really just bring real systemic change. If we can sit down,
people buy into it. They'll buy into it when they know that they're part of.
And Jerome, you organized that.
He sure did.
That wasn't organized by the Secretary of the Department or by the wardens. Right. You, a formerly incarcerated person, organized that.
He organized it so well. And what the reason I even put emphasis on that, because a lot of times we combative, so we bucking against this and they bucking back. But I think by exposing success, nobody can fight that.
Right.
And everybody wants to be a part of success. Scripturally, the Bible says that be wise as a serpent, yet harmless as a dove. I think we utilize the wisdom by putting all the people together. That's where. And there is no harm in that, because everybody wants to be a part of success. Everybody wants to buy into that. So the model has already been set. And because the model has been set, now it's about bringing all the people who have went through I love that word through because it just means temporary. Your mess becomes your message. And that's what happened. That's what you see with all of us. But now that we've been through it, we have a greater understanding. And so when you set that table, when you bring all these people back together, now they can be able to see the living and walking testimony.
Right,
Man,
exactly.
You are great. Listen, you are right, and this is great. And listen, you all, don't ask for permission to do that because you didn't ask for permission to do that years ago, Jerome. Make that happen again. Yep. You all know how to do it. Yep. So sometimes when we say we got to have what we got to do, it almost sounds like we want somebody else to run with it. Right. Don't push your bed up against the wall. Put it in the middle. Make this happen because folks will come when they want to do headlines. They bring y'all in.
Right.
When they want to give testimony to your success, they bring you in to get the city or the county or whoever more money. Understand that you all are the draw. And so you all, this has been an exciting segment. I'm sitting here with I'm about to wrap up. You about to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say a small plug as far as March 27th and 28th. We're doing a reentry conference for Nehemiah. That we actually have some of those people there who will be involved or whatnot, and some people here that I'm going to ask to speak. If they don't mind speaking.
So let's pull that up. Let's do a show where we talk about that. That's good. That's a good shameless plug. And so I've been sitting here with gentlemen who used to meet with me. We used to meet with each other on Tuesday nights when it was cold. I don't remember when it started. I remember it was dark when we met and it was cold. Man, we had a woman come in and do a strength finders before. That was the thing, do a strength finders training with you all. Yeah. And I can remember you all walking her to her car and she's like, oh, no, I'm fine. Like, no, man, we're not gonna let you walk back to our car. And I knew her when she was a banking executive, and I just thought I still have that mental picture of her doing training at Man Up, and having men who've been formerly incarcerated walking this white former bank executive business owner to her car and building a relationship. When I talked to her, she asked me about you all by name, name, and so I love that. And so we're sitting here with Anthony, who is the director of Reentry. Man, I had a meeting with our outgoing lieutenant governor. She had a note stating that this man had placed over 200 people in jobs. He's reminded me, just gave me his card, that we just promoted him at my organization. Nehemiah, he's the vice president of strategic partnerships and Reentry Services. Right, he is not our reentry director. He is the vice president. You're right, man. That's why we did it. Definitely, he's part of my vice president team, vice president of strategic partnerships and Reentry Services. Eugene, I appreciate the work that you're doing in these prisons, going into these places, taking your time to give back to folks, to share what you've learned. That's true leadership. Aaron, you used to show up at Man Up with your ankle bracelet on, talking, and now your job is to facilitate that group. You and Coop do that together, but I mean, just to think that part of what you paid to do on my team is to, among other things, because you all do all kinds of stuff to, from housing and support services and all of these things, but to think that you're facilitating a group that used to be a participant in, and Jerome, first person I ever met with an ankle bracelet, being the executive director of the statewide organization EXPO.
Ex-incarcerated people organizing.
It does a lot of great work and policy work across the state. So listen, gentlemen, I do want to have you back with some elected officials because I would love to have them on the hot seat to hear your take on some of the things that they say don't happen or shouldn't happen. Because I've been in meetings where you all have taken on folks who have said, oh, this doesn't happen. And you all raise your hand and say, well, actually, I was in jail when that happened. And yeah, we actually do have minors in jail with, I was there. I saw 16-year-olds. So you all, thank you for this small Man Up reunion. And if y'all catch me, don't let me forget, sometime in the next couple of weeks, let's make sure we grab lunch, dinner, breakfast, my treat. Well, let's get this group together
today.
Today I got a meeting. Today I got.
We actually. Can you cancel a meeting?
Oh, got you. Not right now. Some other time. But listen, you all. This has been another exciting episode of Black Like Me with Dr. Alex G. We've referenced so many things. If you want to find out more about our reentry work, go to nehemiah.org. I'll have a link on my podcast. Take a look at the initiatives that we have through the piece of our work that's called Justified Anger. We'll also have links to Jerome Dillard's organization, EXPO. If you want to find out how to understand this crazy system called mass incarceration, or how it's having an impact on your loved one, because we know that it's not just happening in our lives, and this is not just about Black folks. just come to our notes section. There'll be several links on there that can help you to understand what's taking place and how you can understand these issues better. If you've got thoughts, ideas, if there are podcasts you listen to and you think, I would love to have Dr. G have this podcast host on his show, tweet out at me. It's Alex G Jr. AlexGeejr. That's also my username or handle on Instagram. You can also come to my Dr. Alex G page on Facebook, but communicate with me and throw out ideas, suggestions, questions that you think would be of interest to you. All right. Thank you for being part of our family. Thank you for being a part of this very, very informative, insightful, and heartwarming episode. All right. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast. You can find out more about Dr. Alex G's amazing work at www.alexg.com. Black Like Me is sponsored by the generosity of the Human Family Unity Foundation.